Rodell Mollineau is with us. He is the president of the American Bridge PAC. Rodell, first of all, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. The American Bridge PAC. What's the American Bridge PAC all about? What do you do?
Well, American Bridge 21st Century, we are a research and candidate tracking political action committee. We do a few things. We do deep dive research on Republican candidates, and we also track their public events. And what we do is we take that research and we take that tracking and we look for contradictions in their public statements and their actions. And as you can imagine, we find a lot of it.
I would think so. Probably among Democrats as well. But good on on you guys for looking at the Republicans. What are you finding about and as a PAC? I mean, very often PACs are associated with specific candidates. Is your PAC associated with any candidate, or do you promote the interests of any candidate?
No. I mean, listen, we're a progressive organization.
Progressive
we're trying
PAC.
to make sure that we're trying to make sure that America votes for and elects progressive candidates. But the work that we do, this is how we see it. Many times, especially in Republican primaries, you'll find these Republican candidates tack far to the right, and that's when they talk about doing away with Social Security and with Medicare, weakening labor laws, and then the day after that primary is over, they swing back to the middle and try to act as though they're as moderate as the day is long. And we think that voters have the right to know what these candidates really believe, what they really think, and we're trying to keep them honest. Make sure.
Sounds like a plan. Rodell, your thoughts on the fact that Governor Romney earns more in one day than the average American earns in a year? That the working Americans can pay up to 35% in income taxes and almost 8% in payroll taxes, and Romney paid less than 1/10% in payroll taxes because they're capped out at $106,000, and he paid 13.9% in income taxes on his income. First of all, what's the meaning of all this, and secondly, what's the accuracy of it?
Well, we here at American Bridge have been looking over this, and we believe it's accurate. There's still some things that I think we're going to need to see. This is just a piece of the puzzle. I think if Mitt Romney really wants to be transparent, he will go back and release returns over the last 10 years. I mean,
but he doesn't really want to be transparent.
No. He does. You're right. He doesn't at all. But I think that eventually that there will be a drumbeat where he's not going to be able to just get away with this. Not that there's. I think just looking at what we have right now, it probably raises more questions than Mitt Romney had thought. And I think eventually he's going to be pressured to release even more. As far as what he pays and what he makes, listen, I'm not going to begrudge anybody their wealth, but I think this is the reason why this is a problem for Mitt Romney is that he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand why this would be a problem. Why paying such a low rate while, for instance, say his secretary or people, middle class, teachers, firefighters, policemen, what have you, pay much more. I don't think he understands why this would be a problem. And even worse, if he were the president of the United States, I think that he would do nothing to correct these inequalities and would probably push for even more inequalities. And I think that's why he's in the state that he is right now.
We're talking with Rodell Mollineau, who is the president of the American Bridge 21st Century American PAC, American Bridge PAC, and AmericanBridgePAC.org is the website. Mitt Romney, you're looking into the situation. What about Newt Gingrich? And I'm curious, there's talk about a brokered convention, and what might come out of that would be Jeb Bush or Mitch Daniels. Mitch Daniels, of course, is giving the rebuttal tonight. In his state, they just passed a right to work for less law. It's passed through half the legislature. The other half will probably pass it today. And, he as governor, he's going to sign it maybe this week, even, who knows. And, to bust up the unions in Indiana. And this is the guy that the Republicans are all looking to as, if all of their other candidates collapse, one of the guys. Have you looked into any of these other people?
Oh, we have. We've done extensive research on the whole lot of them, whether it be Rick Perry, Newt Gingrich, Tim Pawlenty, Michelle Bachmann. As you know, most of them have fallen by the wayside.
Right.
Mitt Romney seems to be the one, along with Newt Gingrich, and I think Rick Santorum, just for the fact that he just kind of stood still for a long time, and no one's really paying attention to him. And I think he's benefiting from the fact that so many others have spent so much money and fallen by the wayside.
Right.
You'd probably still have to say at this rate that Mitt Romney is the front runner, although shaky. I mean, in 24
Sure.
hours, he lost the Iowa caucus and then lost the South Carolina primary. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So what do you know about Newt Gingrich that we need to know?
What do we know about? Well, the funny thing about Newt Gingrich is that there are some things, whether it's his time at Fannie and Freddie, or the fact that since he has left office, his opinion and his validation has pretty much been up to the highest bidder. I'll give you an example. Some people remember that he did a commercial a few years ago with Nancy Pelosi,
right,
calling on
for cap and trade.
Exactly, for cap and trade, more clean energy. About 3 or 4 months after that, one of the companies that he was helping to direct put out this treatise against cap and trade, saying that it was a bad idea, that it was going to kill jobs, and guess who got paid for that? That would be Newt Gingrich. So, Newt Gingrich, pretty much his...
Is that when he suddenly changed his opinion about cap and trade?
Yes, when someone else with more money came to him to help line his pocket.
So with cap and trade, the people who make money are Wall Street, and the people who lose money are the oil companies. So apparently Wall Street was funding Newt when he made the ad with Nancy Pelosi, and then somebody else came, an oil company or some carbon industry people came along and said, "Oh, here's a bigger check, Mr. Gingrich," and suddenly he's opposed to cap and trade. Is that the essence of what?
Yes.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, it is. And the other thing about Newt Gingrich is that people, and I think I'm sure, Tom, you don't, but I know a lot of people tend to forget just what a horrible Speaker of the House, for as much as Newt likes to boast about his accomplishments, just how petty and destructive, and his zeal to try to, as he said, drown Medicare in a bathtub.
No, that wasn't Newt who said that. Oh, that was Grover Norquist.
But Newt also echoed that as well. Grover has said it, but Newt has said that as well.
Amazing.
But the bigger point that I'm making is that I think that a lot of people have just forgotten what a destructive force Newt Gingrich was in the early to mid '90s. And should he continue to do well as he did in South Carolina, I think more and more of that will come out.
Yeah, well, a lot of younger voters aren't even old enough to remember it.
Exactly.
So it's like there's a certain amount of amnesia that somebody who's in Newt Gingrich's case, somebody who's 67 years old can make use. Who had his major part of his political career in his 30s, 40s, and early 50s can make use of. The fact that there's a whole new generation who doesn't know who he is. He's reintroducing himself and reintroducing him, and he's reinventing himself the same way newts and salamanders can cut off an arm and it'll grow back. Here's Newt Gingrich reinventing himself. It's pretty amazing. Anything on Mitch Daniels? Or am I asking you something off the top of your head that you don't have?
You are asking something, earlier on, and actually, I got to tell you, I always thought this was funny. It goes more to the state of the Republican Party, in that they really don't have strong candidates, maybe Mitt Romney being the strongest candidate. There was a point in time, you probably remember this, about 9 months ago, when the Republicans were clamoring, if only Mitch Daniels would get into this race, things would be much better. I think what people forget here is that Mitch Daniels is one of the architects of President Bush's budget that got us into this mess in the first place.
You're right. He was the budget director, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was back there. He made those...
Thank you for the reminder. Rodell Mollineau, we've got to go, but people check out your PAC at AmericanBridgePAC.org. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.